chance. Check your lens. I'm covered in bugs.
No, I'm clean.
Are you clean? Okay, yeah. I'm good. Ready? Go.
Go.
When I close my eyes, I can almost see it. When I take a breath.
Hey, Winston.
Yes, Seamilk, we're still on the road, and it's starting to get a little nicer here. We're, getting out of the city.
Right.
But I wanted to talk about, following on from our previous topic of the conflict thing, right?
Yeah.
Now, I got sent a picture from one of my subscribers in Guangzhou, and there was a sign at a hotel that said, from like the 1st of whatever this date to that, like, we will no longer be accepting any Africans from any African nations to stay, right?
Yeah.
And okay, we're gonna have to stick to the side here. And the reason why I didn't make a video about it is simply because, like, I couldn't verify it, right?
Right.
I don't want to be like causing any kind of how can you
Rumor
say
shit. Yeah.
Yeah, I just don't want to be starting rumors or talking nonsense. But I fully believed it, obviously, because I've seen stuff like that before. But it basically said that no Africans are going to be allowed. Doesn't matter what African country you're from.
Right.
You're not allowed to stay here. And they sent it to me because I'm South African,
Right.
And it turns out that it was true. And it wasn't just one hotel. There was a whole bunch of hotels in Guangzhou.
Right.
That had received this this kind of order, I guess, to not allow Africans anymore. And a Ugandan minister she arrived and she wanted to stay in Guangzhou and was turned away, and she got really upset and got hold of the Ugandan embassy, and
right.
they confirmed
made a stink.
Yeah, then they had to send like a delegate out to meet her, and they eventually got her into a hotel in Tianhe, which is like a very posh area.
Yeah. That's for the embassies and stuff.
Yeah. The fact of the matter is, it's true that they were not allowing Africans to stay in all these hotels. And the thing is, now they're denying the Public Security Bureau, who, they're basically like the local police that look after certain areas, right?
Right. It's a very like Mao era thing that was set up.
Yeah, I mean, it's like those are the people that you have to register to when you're a foreigner and stuff. But now they're denying that was a thing. They're like, no, we never put that order out.
Right.
It's nonsense, that kind of thing. But at the same time, you still have all these pictures of the signs in Chinese and in English saying the Public Security Bureau told us we're not allowed to, have any African foreigners stay here.
Right.
And apparently, the reasoning is that a lot of Nigerian drug dealers, etc., use fake Ugandan passports and fake passports because there's a huge stigma against Nigerians for whatever reason. I've got no idea. Like, I mean,
there are quite a few Nigerian drug dealers in China,
no, but
so that's
the thing is, like, why would they have this totally unearned reputation, except for the fact that it's true? Because every Nigerian I've ever met's a drug dealer in China. This is not a joke. I'm sorry. I know there are good Nigerians out there, but very few. I'm sorry to say, even South Africa.
All my friends from Ghana in China hate the Nigerians.
I mean, seriously, in South Africa, the Nigerians come down to scam the other South Africans. So even in South Africa, everyone hates Nigerians.
Right. Poor Nigeria.
Anyway, so the thing is, the Nigerian drug dealers have been using false Ugandan passports, false South African passports, and all that.
Right.
And I just have a feeling that the local authorities were just getting tired of drug deals going down and stuff, and they were just like, no more Africans,
Typical China, like don't pinpoint the issue.
Yeah, typical Chinese insensitivity and lack of cultural understanding, though.
Right.
Because they hurt the feelings of the African peoples, But they just went ahead and did it, obviously, and that's kind of what happened. So I thought we could talk a little bit about like the state of being an African in China right now.
Right. So my perspective on this, I kind of opened my mind to how kind of shit life must be for an African when I started to find African friends in China, and there's quite a few of them, especially in Guangdong.
Guangzhou's typically got the most Africans in China.
Right, it's a massive diaspora. It's like its own community, right?
Yeah.
And there are people from all over Africa. It's a very interesting place to go down there in that area of Guangzhou. But anyway, I made quite a few African friends in my time in China. Even had my African friend at my wedding that you met.
Yeah, Elvis.
Elvis is super
Awesome
cool.
guy. Yeah.
Really nice people. Actually, almost all of them are from Ghana.
Yeah.
Which is funny. Really easygoing, nice people, and they're wildly successful in China, a lot of them. And this is where the stereotype is just so wrong for Chinese people to discriminate. Is like, yes, the Nigerians typically, I mean, the ones that I've seen are dealing drugs, and that sucks, right?
Yeah, we
But you have a lot
apologize
of
to
honest.
any honest Nigerians. We apologize. You know.
Yeah, no, very much so.
Keep your countrymen in line.
Hi, are you Gary?
Yes, I am.
Hi, Gary, I'm Nancy.
Nice meeting you, Nancy.
Nice meeting you.
Are you ready for the ride of your life?
I hope so.
Okay, well, why don't you have a seat over here and we'll get started.
All right.
Are you ready? Let's put this on you. How's that fit?
Feels great. So what exactly happens?
Well, some countries and corporations try to block what you can see on the internet.
It's all coming to me.
Right, for the first time you're seeing the unfiltered internet. And guess what? Big Brother can't see what you're doing.
Wow, are you sure this is perfectly safe?
Absolutely, with NordVPN you're safer than a marshmallow in a refrigerator.
You know, with all the traveling that we do, we often go to countries that block the access to the internet, so we can't access all of our social media and stuff. But that's not the only reason we use a VPN. We choose Nord because it keeps our data safe. We can use it easily and hop around different servers around the world, and when we're on unsecured Wi-Fi or we just don't trust the connection we're on, we have to make sure that our data is safe, since that's our livelihood. Don't forget to go to nordvpn.com/ADVChina, and you can actually get 70% off of a 3-year plan. That's an awesome value, and if you use the code ADVChina when you're on the site, you'll actually get 1 month free. So don't forget to go check out nordvpn.com/ADVChina. Use the code ADVChina. Get 70% off a 3-year plan and 1 month free, and help support the channel. Thanks.
Right. Anyway, the friends that we have are wildly successful because they set up really honest businesses.
Yeah, doing
selling
trade.
textiles and trade and electronics trade and all this kind of stuff with legitimate visas and everything. And all of a sudden, I would see some of them have to go home because their visas were canceled, or China just decided, nah, your business visa isn't valid, so you're not allowed to do this anymore, and they all had to go home, right?
Yeah.
And when I would hang out with them, the perception of, or where are we going?
Keep on the right.
Keep on the right. The perception that Chinese people had about them was so much different than me. They would treat them very differently, right? And it was almost like it wasn't a blatant thing like "go home, you N-word," something like this, but it was a fear. It was an aversion, right?
Yeah, they actually are very scared of black people.
Right, they're terrified of black people. So it was kind of like I actually got to a point where I was comfortable enough to ask some of them like what this issue is, like why do Chinese people look, how is life for you, basically, right? And I interviewed one of them, so we can put a little link here, one of my friends, and he talked about it, and he's a really nice guy, lots of Chinese friends.
Yeah, we should be in the bike lane, by the way.
Oh, sorry.
Okay.
But he got really distraught and upset when he was talking about some of his experiences. Like he'd go into his kindergarten class or whatever, because he was teaching on the side as well.
Yeah.
He'd go in, and then the kids would be like, "Oh, you look like your skin is made of poop," or like this kind of stuff. And their parents obviously taught him that, right? Or the mothers would hide their kids and be like, "Oh, why do we have a black teacher?" and request that they don't have a black teacher, you know? Things like, "Oh, these black people smell bad," they say when they walk by, you know?
Yeah.
Or they'll get tisked just for being black. Why are you so black? Is a common question, right?
Yeah, stick
And
in the
it's
bike
like-
lane, eh? This little shit one, yeah, okay.
It's
So-
like, it's got to be terrible, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I've got black friends, and they tell me about how, like, well, the one guy told me a story about he was just standing there, and a little girl came up and, like, took a wet tissue and was trying to rub the dirt off his arm because she
Right.
thought he was dirty, and was like,
Right.
here, like, I think that's kind of cute, though, to be honest.
Yeah, and it's probably innocent,
It's a very
right?
innocent thing, yeah. But you know, the problem is, we can't beat around the bush, and we've said this forever. We've said that Chinese people are very discriminatory against different races and themselves.
Right.
You know, they're
right.
very
It's
much
a very
will say-
judgmental society.
Yeah, they'll say, oh, the people from this area are like this, and the
Are
people
all
from that,
like
you know,
this, right, yeah.
it's the way it is. But right now there's been a sharp decline in Africans in Guangzhou. There used to be a hell of a lot up there. Like
Right, now there's less and less.
there were like 100,000 or more. Now apparently there's only like 20,000 something.
Has it gone that low?
Yeah, I mean that's the official numbers, but you cannot count all the overstayers and the illegal immigrants.
And there are a lot, and that sucks too.
Yeah.
Like
It doesn't help their case,
no.
you know?
But again, don't speak about them in general, right? Like the ones I know are very honest people.
That's what I'm trying to get at here as well. Is the fact is, you know, you've got this situation where everyone's generalizing everyone, and it's not very nice. But the fact that they can actually go ahead and say, no Africans from any African country is allowed to stay in our hotel. I mean, come on, that's just incorrect. Like, I'm African, I've got an African passport.
I bet they'd let you stay.
I know, and that would be even worse. That would just really hammer it home. I mean, I'm not going to go try and do a social experiment, and that thing's passed already.
Right.
But, yeah. It's again one of those things that you have to know if you're going to deal with China, or if you're going to come to China, that you're going to have to deal with that sort of thing.
Right.
You know?
So yeah, I mean, like in general, it's not nice to be of minority status in China. You as a white foreigner, right? You'll typically, we've always said this, you'll typically receive a fairly positive response from people, although less and less nowadays, right?
Yes.
And I just can't imagine what it's like. I don't want to sound like a social justice warrior, but like I've covered things like that gala that they had, the African thing.
Sure.
Like, and I don't have any personal opinion about discrimination against black people in China in terms of how it's portrayed in the media, like whether that was insensitive or not.
Yeah.
But because I'm not black and I can't understand what that would be like, right?
Sure.
But what I can say is that you can't go in the comments section, or you can't talk about China like it's a more accepting society than a place like the USA.
Sure.
Because it's definitely not. I think a lot of people have this fantasy that China is like this oriental, like crazy awesome different country that has all these values, but they are somehow, because they're not white, are more open-minded or something.
Oh no, they're a lot more closed-minded than Americans, for instance. Absolutely. Right. But again, it's a balance, and I have to say that I'm also very tired of the fact that people can't talk about these sorts of things overseas.
Right.
I do think there are definite differences between cultures and different peoples, and the way people behave and the way that they...
Right.
And I'm not trying to say in a bad way, I'm saying like different family structures, different outlooks on life, different social values in different tribes and cultures. And so, you know, it's good to acknowledge them, but it's not, I think it's not good to say like no Africans are allowed to stay here.
Of
you know what I mean?
Well, I would really hope so. I mean, that's just where else are you gonna see that?
Yeah, you wouldn't see that anywhere else, honestly. So yeah, guys, I mean, that's for me pretty much the be all and the end all of this topic. I see some scoots going over there, so we can go up there.
Okay.
I hope. Yeah, because that looks all convoluted down there. You know, it's a tough one to talk about, because I see all the disadvantages of being African in China, because unless somebody sees me, anything official when it comes to paperwork, visas, registering with the police, I still have an African passport.
Right.
And so I do get the short end of the stick, and I see that it's so much more difficult for Africans.
Right.
And there's massive discrimination. And also, not only Africans, but Americans, like, you know, if there's some tit-for-tat thing, then suddenly you have to pay more for your visa, or, you know, they will discriminate on race based on things that are going on. You know, sorry, nationality, not race, nationality.
Right.
You know, so there'll be something happens in France, and then all of a sudden French people are the enemy in China. You know, it's just the way it is. So be on your toes and realize, once again, that when you're dealing with China, you are dealing with a homogenous society. You're dealing with a society that's not used to other cultures. It's a very monocultural place, and it will always be a kind of a you versus us type of a situation, no matter.
It's never going to be an immigrant country.
No, whether you like it or not, you know. Cool. So yeah, man, like, anything you want to say before we sign off?
Well, I hope you understand how ridiculous some of these laws are, because China typically just cracks down on things randomly, whether it thinks about the consequences or not, and then reneges on it and says it never happened. So something you guys got to be used to. But either way, I hope you guys enjoyed our content, and if you haven't subscribed already, please do that. Also, if you go near that area, like the comment section / subscribe button, you should see we have some ADV China merch.
Oh, that's true, yeah.
We have sweatshirts and t-shirts right now, and it was a hand-drawn thing from a subscriber, which is really cool.
Massive shout out. That was such a cool thing to do.
And he
Yeah.
said, why don't you slap that on some shirts? So he did. If you guys want to, support the channel and rock the merch, do that. And otherwise, I'm done.
Okay, good. And whether you're African or not, we love you all the same. Genuinely, like I grew up in Africa, surrounded by my African brothers and sisters, and it's just one of those things that really, really gets to me,
Right.
Because I do have a lot of African friends, and I acknowledge the differences between us, but at the same time, I'm totally against this straightforward, terrible discrimination,
Right.
these discrimination tactics. So whether you're African or not, we love you all the same, and as always, you know the drill. Stay bloody awesome. ADV China every Monday, same time, same place. Wednesdays, Lao 86, 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and of course, on Friday, just in time for a beer, SerpentZA.